Herman Melville's Moby Dick, it's so much more than just a story about a guy hunting a whale. It's this deep, dark, and sometimes really beautiful look into the human heart. It's asking one of the oldest questions, right? When you stare into the abyss, what stares back at you? So let's dive in. Let's explore the anatomy of this obsession.
Think about these words for a second. To the last I grapple with thee. From hell's heart I stab at thee. For hate's sake I spit my last breath at thee. Those are the final, furious words of Captain Ahab, and they really are the climax of the most famous hunt in all of literature. It starts as a hunt for a great white whale, but it spirals into something so much bigger. It becomes a hunt for the meaning of suffering, for the nature of evil, and really a hunt for the face of a universe that just doesn't seem to care.
So let's get into it. The unholy quest. At its core, what's the story about? It's about Captain Ahab's obsessive, all-consuming, and in the end, totally self-destructive hunt for one single legendary creature, the white whale, Moby Dick. But here's what's so interesting. Even before the journey starts, this whale isn't just an animal. Not at all. It's already a myth, a legend, whispered among all the sailors. It's this huge, symbolic idea that basically pulls our narrator, Ishmael, and pretty soon the whole crew of the ship Pequod, right into its orbit. Okay, a world of oil and water. Because to really get a grip on the madness, you have to understand the reality first. I mean, this epic, almost spiritual quest, it doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It takes place right in the middle of a massive, brutal, and incredibly profitable global industry, 19th century whaling. And let's be really clear about this. This wasn't some niche thing. Whaling was the energy sector of its day. We're talking about the oil that lit the world's lamps, that lubricated the gears of the Industrial Revolution. It made places like Nantucket fabulously wealthy. This was big, big business. And this business was super specialized. Different whales meant different products. So you had the sperm whale, which gave you spermaceti, that's the top shelf oil, used for the best, clean-burning candles. Then you have the right whale, which gave you cheaper oil and whalebone, which was basically the plastic of its time, used for everything. The whole point of a voyage was simple: fill the ship with this stuff and make money. A purpose that Captain Ahab, well, he's about to twist into something else entirely. And the scale here, it was just enormous. America's whaling fleet, we're talking over 700 ships, brought in a haul worth $7 million a year. I mean, that's like hundreds of millions in today's money. This was the powerful economic engine that Ahab was about to hijack for his own personal war. Which brings us to the tyranny of purpose. And right at the dark heart of this story is Captain Ahab. He's a man whose sense of purpose has become twisted, something ugly, a kind of tyranny that's going to end up enslaving every single soul on his ship. See, here's the crucial thing you have to understand about Ahab. His quest isn't for profit, not at all. It's a deeply personal vendetta. On an earlier voyage, Moby Dick took his leg, and Ahab doesn't see that as just some random act of nature. Oh no, to him it was a personal, malicious assault. So he takes the ship's whole economic mission and turns it into his own private war of revenge. And his single-mindedness, it's just total. Ahab's obsession is so complete that he literally bends every tool of the trade to his will. He makes the blacksmith forge a special harpoon, and get this, it's made from the nails of racehorse shoes, the strongest steel he could find. And then, in this dark, twisted ritual, he has it tempered not in water, but in the blood of his pagan harpooneers. I mean, this isn't a tool for hunting anymore. It's an unholy weapon for an unholy war. So this all leads us to the book's central mystery, the color of fear. What does the white whale actually represent? And why its color, white, so important and so absolutely terrifying? Okay, this is where Melville does something just genius. He takes the color white, a color we usually connect with things like purity, innocence, maybe majesty, and he just flips it on its head. He uses Ishmael to deconstruct it, arguing that whiteness, because it's so empty, can actually be the most terrifying color of all. And Ishmael sort of wonders, is the whale's whiteness so horrifying because it's like a blank canvas? It represents a colorless, meaningless, and totally indifferent universe. Now, for a guy like Ahab, who is absolutely desperate to believe his suffering means something, the idea that it was all just random, that the universe doesn't care one bit, well, that's the ultimate horror.
And so what does he do? Ahab projects all of his rage, all of his grief onto this one creature. The whale becomes the physical embodiment, the pasteboard mask, as he calls it, of whatever cruel, silent force runs the world. You see, he doesn't just want to kill a whale for revenge. He wants to stab through that mask and strike at the very nature of creation itself.
Humanity versus the void. With the mission totally corrupted and the enemy now defined, that final collision, it's just inevitable. It all comes down to a 3-day chase, the climax of this epic showdown between one man's will and the vast, silent ocean.
So the final chase plays out over 3 absolutely hellish days. Day 1, they spot Moby Dick. The whale immediately turns and destroys Ahab's boat. Day 2, they go after him again. The crew is caught up in the frenzies of the chase, and the whale attacks again. Then, day 3. This is it. Ahab finally gets his shot. He throws his harpoon, it hits, but the line whips around his neck, lashing him to the body of his hated enemy. He's pulled down into the depths just as the whale rams and sinks the Pequod, taking the entire crew, all except for one, down with him.
All right, your white whale. So Ahab and his crew are gone, but the story, its power, that remains. Why does this 19th century whaling tale still hit so hard? I think it's because it gives us a way to think about the forces that shape our own lives. There's this amazing moment, a quiet moment at sea, where Ishmael is watching someone weave a mat. And he has this huge epiphany. He starts to see life itself as a loom. Okay, so picture this. The warp. Those are the fixed, vertical threads you can't change. That's necessity or fate. Then you have the shuttle, which he can move back and forth. That's his free will, weaving his own path. But then there's the sword that beats the threads into place, and that, he realizes, is chance. Just pure random luck. And that's really the core philosophy of the book. Our lives aren't just one of these things, fate, free will, or chance, but this constant, messy interplay of all 3. So you have to ask, right? Was Ahab fated to be destroyed by his obsession? Did he freely choose that path? Or was he just the victim of a random, unlucky encounter with one specific whale? The book's answer seems to be, yeah, all of the above.
And that whole framework, it really forces us to look inward. Moby Dick holds up a mirror, and it asks you, what is your singular obsession? What is that one thing, that one goal that just consumes your thoughts and directs all your energy? What is the white whale that you are hunting across the oceans of your own life? You know, for some people, it's a career milestone, right? That startup, that promotion that promises to prove something. For others, it's a creative masterpiece they have to finish. Or maybe it's a deep-seated grievance, an injustice they feel they have to correct. So what do you hunt? And then finally, the most important question of all, the one Ahab never really faced. What is the cost? Who and what are you willing to sacrifice to get it? Because in the end, you have to ask yourself, are you the captain of your life, or has your obsession become the captain of you? Ultimately, Melville leaves us with this one powerful, unforgettable image. He says that inside every one of us, there's an island of peace and joy, a sort of insular Tahiti. But that island is forever surrounded by a vast, appalling, and unknown ocean, the dark potential of our own nature, and the sheer, unpredictable chaos of the world.